I came home early that Thursday, around 4, my work boots leaving faint dust trails on the hardwood floor of our apartment. The kitchen smelled like stale coffee and burnt toast. Emily's usual breakfast when she wasn't rushing to her PR firm job. She was perched on a stool at the counter, phone in hand, thumb scrolling like it was a race. Didn't look up when I walked in, didn't even twitch when my keys clattered onto the hook by the door. The air felt stale, like the windows hadn't been opened in days. "Hey," I said, keeping it casual, "how's your day going?" "Normal," she said. One word, flat as the linoleum under her feet. I reached for her hand. Just a quick squeeze, nothing heavy. She yanked it back like I'd zapped her with a cattle prod. No explanation, just that sharp tug, her eyes still glued to her screen. I stood there for a second, the hum of the fridge filling the silence. Something shifted in the room, like the first crack in a windshield. I turned, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and let it slide. If I'd known that was the first domino to fall, I'd have started packing right then. But I didn't. I figured it was just a bad day, maybe stress from her latest client pitch. Man, if I'd known what kind of mess was brewing, I'd have saved myself months of her games. That kitchen moment wasn't the explosion. It was the warning shot. I didn't see it then, but Emily wasn't just distracted, she was rewriting the script. Her job had her always on, schmoozing clients, crafting perfect social media posts, performing for anyone who'd watch. I thought she was burnt out, maybe overwhelmed. So I gave her space. Big mistake. Space was her weapon, and she used it to carve out a new role. The woman who doesn't need you but expects you to stick around like a loyal dog. The next week, I tried to bridge the gap. Came home from a 10-hour day at the construction site, showered off the dust and sweat, the hot water barely cutting through the ache in my shoulders. I suggested we hit that Italian place she loved, the one with the tiramisu she'd post about online, all creamy and overpriced. "Not feeling it," she said, eyes on her phone, voice like she was dismissing a waiter. I tried again, movie night, a walk by the river, even just chilling on the couch with a bottle of wine. Every idea got a shrug or a maybe later. By the end of the week, I stopped asking. Started counting instead. 14 times she shut me down when I tried to talk, hug, or just exist in the same room. 9 eye rolls when I suggested anything remotely couple-like. 3 times she walked out mid-conversation, leaving me talking to the walls. I'm not the guy who begs for scraps. Never was. But I'm not blind either. This wasn't a mood swing. This was a system. I saw her game now. Every dodge was about keeping me at arm's length while she held the reins. Time to test her rules. So I sat her down one night, kitchen table between us, her coffee mug still sitting there from the morning, cold and half empty, the handle chipped from when she dropped it last month. The overhead light buzzed faintly, casting shadows on the table. "Look, Emily," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I get it if you're tired or pissed about something. But this cold shoulder routine? It's not working. If you've got a problem, spit it out. Let's fix it." She leaned back, crossed her arms, and gave me this look, like I was a kid who'd missed the point of a lecture. "You know what, Jake? It's actually better this way. I feel lighter. Less weighed down." She paused, then hit me with, "I'm really glad you're not clinging so much anymore." No venom. No heat. Just this calm, smug delivery, like she'd solved a puzzle and I was the piece she'd tossed out. I didn't yell, didn't flip the table, just looked at her, letting her words settle like dust. "Lighter, huh?" I said, standing up. "Good to know." She tilted her head, still smiling that half smile. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you've made your point," I said, leaning forward slightly. "You don't need me. So why am I still here, playing your game?" Her smile faltered for a split second. "You're taking this way too seriously, Jake. I'm just saying I need space." "Space?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "You've had the whole damn apartment to yourself for weeks. You don't talk, you don't touch, you don't even look at me. That's not space. That's a one-woman show, and I'm not your audience." She scoffed, picking up her phone again. "You're being dramatic. I'm just busy. Work's been crazy, you know that." "Busy?" I repeated, nodding slowly. "Busy enough to shut me out 14 times in a week? To roll your eyes when I try to plan a date? To walk out when I'm mid-sentence? I'm not your intern, Emily. I'm your husband. Or with..." She set her phone down, finally looking at me. "So what? You're threatening to leave now? Because I'm not fawning over you every second?" "No threats," I said, voice calm but hard. Just facts. You want to be light? I'm not here to weigh you down. I washed my mug, dried it with a dish towel, put it back in the cabinet. Then I went to the bedroom and started pulling shirts from the closet. Not a word. She didn't follow, didn't ask what I was doing. By the time I was zipping up my duffel, she was back on her phone, like I was just a delivery guy who'd dropped off her takeout. I grabbed her keys to my truck, the ones I'd given her when we moved in together 2 years ago, and set them on the hall table. If you're lighter without me, I said, I'll make it permanent. She looked up then, eyebrows raised, but didn't say a word. I walked out, checked into a motel off Route 17 that night, the kind with flickering neon signs and vending machines that eat your quarters. The bed creaked and the AC rattled, but it was better than staying in her orbit. 2 days later, I signed a lease on a one-bedroom across town, a small place with creaky floors but a view of the park. Dropped the apartment keys with her sister, Sarah, who didn't give me the pitying look most people would have. Sarah was the only one in this mess who didn't act like she was holding a gavel. If I thought leaving would snap her out of it, I was dead wrong. The first week was quiet. Too quiet. Then the text started. You just left? No conversation, she wrote, like she hadn't spent a month dodging every word I tried to say. I stared at the screen, almost laughed. Conversation? She'd been allergic to those for weeks. We had one. I typed back. You said you were lighter. I listened. She fired back. You're twisting my words. I didn't mean it like that. Then how'd you mean it? I replied. Because you made it pretty clear I was the problem. I'm just respecting your wishes. No response. 2 days later, Sarah called. Emily's telling people you took it too personally, she said, her voice flat, like she was reading a weather report. Says you overreacted. I snorted. Overreacted? She spent a month treating me like a roommate she couldn't stand. Tell her I'm just giving her what she wanted. Sarah didn't argue. Didn't need to. She knew Emily better than anyone. Knew the way her sister could spin a story to make herself the hero. Then came the breakfast stunt. I was in my new place, barely unpacked, frying bacon in my boxers on a Saturday morning. The apartment smelled like coffee and grease, the good kind of morning. The window was open, letting in the sound of kids playing in the park across the street. Knock on the door. I open it, and there's Emily, holding a grocery bag like she's auditioning for Wife of the Year. I got coffee, eggs, that hot sauce you like, she said, flashing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Let's just eat. No hard feelings. I leaned against the doorframe, spatula in hand, bacon sizzling behind me. No hard feelings? Emily, you spent weeks acting like I was a piece of furniture you didn't like anymore. Now you're here with a peace offering? What's the angle? Her smile tightened, but she kept it up. There's no angle, Jake. I'm just trying to be nice. Can't we just have breakfast? Nice. I repeated, letting the word hang like a bad joke. You were nice when you told me you felt lighter without me. So what's this? Guilt? A photo op for your followers. She shifted the bag to her other hand, her charm slipping. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I'm trying to fix things. Fix things, I said, stepping forward. What's there to fix? You got your space. You got your light life. Why are you here, Emily? You think a bag of groceries makes up for a month of treating me like I don't exist? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I didn't mean to make you feel like that, she said, softer now, like she was pitching a client. I was stressed, okay? Work's been hell. Can we just start over? I shook my head. Start over? You don't get to hit reset after rewriting the whole game. I'm feeling pretty light myself. Without the circus. I stepped back, closed the door. Not a slam, just a click. Firm. Done. I heard her stand there for a moment, then her footsteps fading down the hall. The next day, I saw her post online. Some upscale restaurant, dim lights, her smiling next to some guy in a blazer who looked like he sold insurance or crypto. Caption: Real peace comes with someone who doesn't need to talk. I didn't like it. Didn't comment. Just took a screenshot. Kept it for the record. My buddy Mike texted me later. You see that? She's trying to get under your skin. Yeah, I replied. And I'm not playing. She thought that post would make me jealous, make me chase her. Instead, it just showed me who she was. Someone who'd rather stage a performance than face reality. Let's rewind. The kitchen wasn't the first crack. It was just the one I couldn't ignore. A month before I left, we were at a barbecue at her friend Lisa's place. Nice setup, backyard with string lights, burgers sizzling on the grill, cold beers in a cooler. The air smelled like charcoal and cut grass, and someone's playlist was blaring classic rock. I'm talking to Lisa about a project I'm managing, a new office building downtown. Nothing heavy, just shop talk about timelines and permits. Emily walks over, wine glass in hand, and cuts in, laughing. Jake, you don't need to bore her with construction stuff. Her friend smirked, their eyes darting between us. Lisa looked awkward, mumbled something about getting another drink. I didn't bite, just raised my beer and said, "Funny, I thought I was answering her question. My bad." Lisa hesitated, then said, "No, it's cool, Jake. Sounds like a big deal. What's the building like?" I smiled, keeping my eyes on Emily. It's a 20-story office tower, high-end, with a rooftop garden. I'm making sure the whole thing doesn't fall apart before it's done. Not exactly boring, right? Lisa nodded, interested. That's awesome. How do you keep track of all that? Before I could answer, Emily jumped in again. Oh, he's got his crew for that. Jake's the guy who makes sure everyone shows up, she said, her tone light but sharp, like a knife wrapped in a napkin. Her friends laughed, and she sipped her wine, looking pleased with herself. I leaned back, keeping my voice steady. Actually, Lisa, I run the whole operation, budget, timeline, subcontractors. It's like herding cats, but with cranes and concrete. You should come by the site sometime. I'll give you the non-boring tour. The group chuckled, and Lisa grinned. Emily's smile froze, just for a second, but I saw it. She didn't like losing the spotlight. Lisa kept going. Seriously? That sounds intense. How do you deal with the pressure? Focus, I said, glancing at Emily. You learn to tune out the noise and stick to what matters. Kind of like dodging bad pitches. The group laughed again, louder this time. Emily sipped her wine, her fingers tight around the glass. In the car later, I brought it up. What was that about? You trying to make me look like an idiot in front of your friends? She sighed, like I was exhausting her. It was a joke, Jake. Relax. You're always so serious. A joke, I said, gripping the wheel. Your jokes always seem to end with me looking like the help. Next time, let me in on the punchline, or don't be surprised when I steal the show. She rolled her eyes. You're so sensitive. I was just keeping things light. Light, I said, pulling into our driveway. Like you're trying to keep me? Good to know where we stand. She didn't respond, just got out and went inside, leaving me with the hum of the car engine. I saw her game now. Every jab was about keeping me small. Time to change the rules. A week later, it escalated. We're at a work mixer for her PR firm, some fancy hotel downtown with chandeliers and overpriced cocktails. I'm in a suit I hate, the kind that makes me feel like a kid playing dress up, making small talk with her colleagues. One of them, Greg, asks what I do. Before I can answer, Emily jumps in. Oh, Jake's in construction. Keeps him busy, right? She smiled, but it was the kind of smile you give a kid showing off a mediocre report card. Greg nodded, already checked out. I waited till he walked away, then leaned in. What's with the intro? You make it sound like I'm out there swinging a hammer all day. She rolled her eyes. It's not a big deal, Jake. I was just summarizing. Summarizing, I said, keeping my voice level. Next time, let me summarize myself. I don't need a hype man. She laughed it off, but I saw it. That little spark of satisfaction. She liked putting me in a box, making me smaller than I was. Later, at the hotel bar, I was chatting with a group of her colleagues about a new city project. Rachel asked about the challenges of managing big builds. I was mid-answer when Emily cut in. Oh, Jake's used to the chaos. He's good at keeping things under control. Another smile, another jab, like I was just a glorified foreman. I set my drink down. Actually, Rachel, it's less about control and more about strategy. You're juggling budgets, timelines, and 100 egos. Kind of like PR, except my clients don't care about hashtags. The group laughed, and Rachel nodded, impressed. Emily's smile tightened. Sounds like you're the one running the show, Rachel said, leaning in. What's the toughest part? Dealing with people who think they know better, I said, glancing at Emily. You have to stay sharp, call nonsense when you see it. The group chuckled again, and one guy, Tom, raised his glass. To staying sharp, he said. Emily excused herself to check on a client. Outside, as we waited for the valet, I called her out. You've got to stop this, Emily. Every time I open my mouth, you're there with a quip to make me sound like less. What's your deal? She crossed her arms, the streetlights glinting off her earrings. My deal? You're the one turning a networking event into your personal TED Talk. Networking, I said, stepping closer. You mean showing off for your colleagues while you cut me down? I'm not your prop, Emily. Keep this up, and you're going to be networking solo. She didn't respond, just got in the car when it pulled up. I knew then she wasn't just testing me. She was rewriting me out of her story. A week before the kitchen showdown, we met her friend Karen at a coffee shop downtown. The place was packed, the air thick with espresso and chatter. Karen, one of Emily's oldest friends, was all smiles, but I'd seen her play sidekick to Emily's jabs before. We're talking about weekend plans when Karen asks about my work. Still out there in the dirt, Jake? She says, laughing like it's harmless. Emily jumps in before I can answer. Oh, you know Jake. Always knee-deep in construction stuff. Keeps him out of trouble. She winks at Karen, who laughs louder. Then Emily pivots, cutting off Karen's next question. Anyway, Karen, how's that new campaign going? You're killing it, right? Karen lights up, and they're off, talking shop like I'm not there. I lean back, stirring my coffee. I saw it. Emily steering the conversation to keep the focus on her world. Time to flip the script. Actually, Karen, I said, cutting in, you asked about my work. It's not just construction stuff. I'm managing a $10 million project, a 20-story tower downtown. It's like running a small army, budgets, timelines, subcontractors. Kind of like PR, but with actual stakes. Karen's eyes widened. Wow, that's huge. How do you keep it all straight? Practice, I said, keeping my eyes on Emily, and knowing when to call nonsense on people who think they can run the show. Karen glanced at Emily, who was suddenly very focused on her phone. Sounds intense, Karen said. You ever get stressed out? Only when people try to rewrite my job description, I said, smiling. The table went quiet, and Emily's jaw tightened. She tried to pivot again, asking Karen about some client, but the moment was mine. Outside, Emily let me have it. You didn't need to make that jab about PR, she said, her voice sharp. Karen's my friend, not your audience. Funny, I said, unlocking the car. You didn't seem to mind making me the punchline. If you're going to keep painting me as the guy in the dirt, don't be surprised when I push back. She didn't respond, just got in and stared out the window. I saw it then. Every jab was a move to keep me small. I wasn't playing anymore. The real gut punch came a few days before I moved out, during the bill fight. We were at home, going over expenses at the kitchen table. The laptop screen glowed, showing our bank account, which was tighter than I'd like. Not desperate, but enough to feel it. I suggested cutting back on some subscriptions, like her yoga studio membership she hadn't used in months. She looked at me like I'd suggested selling her car. You're really going to nickel and dime me over yoga? She said, voice sharp. Maybe if you pushed harder at work, we wouldn't be scraping by. I set the laptop down. Scraping by? I'm pulling 50-hour weeks, Emily. You're not exactly clipping coupons yourself. What's this really about? It's about you always trying to control everything, she snapped. I need my space, my freedom. You're suffocating me with this budget crap. Suffocating, I said, leaning back. That's rich, coming from someone who's been treating me like a tenant for weeks. You want freedom? Start paying for it. I closed the laptop, walked out of the room. That was when it clicked. This wasn't about money or yoga. It was about her rewriting the rules so she was always the one in charge. 2 weeks after I moved out, Emily invited me to a client's house party, some big shots place in the suburbs with a pool and a catered spread. I almost said no, but she insisted, saying it could be a fresh start. I went, more curious than hopeful. The place was all glass and marble, with guests in suits and dresses sipping wine. Emily was in her element, charming everyone. But when she introduced me to the host, it was the same old script. This is Jake, he's in construction, she said, her tone implying I was just the guy who showed up with a hard hat. The host, a guy named Paul, nodded politely. I cut in before Emily could steer the conversation. Actually, I manage large-scale projects, I said, shaking his hand. Right now, I'm overseeing a 20-story office tower downtown. It's a beast, but we're keeping it on track. Paul's eyes lit up. That's impressive. How do you handle the stress? It's all about focus, I said, glancing at Emily. You learn to tune out the noise and stick to what matters. The group around us nodded, and Emily's smile tightened. She tried to pivot, talking up her latest campaign. We just landed a major client, she said, her voice bright. It's going to be huge for the firm. Paul nodded, but another guest, a woman named Claire, turned to me. Jake, what's it like seeing a building go up from nothing? It's like watching a city grow, I said, leaning in. Every piece has to fit. Steel, concrete, glass. One mistake, and it's a domino effect. You should swing by the site sometime, Paul. I'll show you what goes into it. Paul handed me his card, genuinely interested. Emily's face was a mask, but I could see the cracks. Later, as we grabbed drinks from the bar, she let me have it. You didn't need to hijack the conversation, she said, her voice low but sharp. This was my client, my night. Your night, I said, setting my glass down. Then why'd you invite me? So I could stand in the background while you play star? I'm not your prop, Emily. Find someone else for that. I walked away, mingling with the guests, leaving her to stew. That was the last time I went anywhere with her. Emily wasn't just distant. She was playing chess. Every eye roll, every dodged conversation, every little jab in front of her friends, family, or colleagues was a move to keep me off balance. She didn't want a partner. She wanted a prop, someone to make her look good, feel powerful, while she called the shots. And when I stopped playing along, she didn't know how to handle it. The hallway blow-up was her last big move. I was heading out for coffee, halfway down the stairs of my new building, when she showed up, her voice echoing through the hall, more theatrical than menacing. You're acting like a coward, Jake. Running away because you can't handle a real conversation. I stopped, turned, looked at her. She was pacing, hands waving, like she was performing for the neighbors peeking through their blinds. A coward, I said, keeping my voice low but sharp. You spent a month dodging me, telling me you're lighter without me. I gave you what you asked for. What's the problem now? You're making it sound like I'm the bad guy, she snapped. You just left. You didn't even try to fix it. Fix what? I stepped closer, not yelling, just cutting through her noise. You made it clear I was the problem. The barbecue where you cut me off in front of Lisa. The mixer where you made me sound like a laborer. The coffee shop with Karen. The dinner with your parents. That client's party where you tried to make me the help. You got your space, Emily. Now you're mad because I'm not begging you to take me back. Pick a lane. She froze, then went for the jugular. I'll tell everyone you bailed because you're insecure, that you couldn't handle me being independent. I laughed, not loud, just enough to make her flinch. Go ahead, tell them. But don't forget to mention how light you felt when I stopped trying. Tell them about the coffee shop with Karen, the party where you tried to play me off as the help. Make sure they get the full story. I turned and walked down the stairs. Heard her car peel out a few minutes later. That was the last time she showed up. I don't do regret. Never have. But looking back, I should have seen her game from the jump. Every move was calculated, not to hurt me, but to keep her on top. The barbecue jab, the work mixer slight, the coffee shop with Karen, the dinner with her parents, the client's party. They weren't random. They were her way of keeping me in check, making sure I knew my place. And when I stopped playing, she didn't just lose control. She lost her audience. A month after the hallway scene, Mike called. Saw Emily at that new bar downtown, he said. She was with some dude, all cozy. Kept looking around like she wanted someone to notice. Let her, I said. She's performing for an audience that doesn't exist anymore. Mike laughed. You're cold, man. But I get it. She's trying to make you jealous. She can try, I said. But I'm not in that game. Mike was the one who kept it real. No lectures, no pity. Just the truth. He'd been through it with his ex. Same playbook, different player. Always needing to be the star. Always needing someone to clap. He didn't tell me to leave Emily. Didn't need to. He just said, you don't owe her your piece. That stuck. Now, I'm in my own place. Small but mine. I come home from work, kick off my boots, the floor creaking under my feet. I cook what I want, steak, tacos, whatever I'm feeling. The kitchen smells like garlic and spices, not burnt toast. I watch what I want, sleep when I want. No one's testing me. No one's rewriting the rules. My phone doesn't buzz with passive-aggressive texts. My keys stay where I leave them. If someone wants to come into my life and start playing games, they're welcome to try. But I'm not in that game anymore. And I've got a feeling Emily's still figuring out what she lost when she bet on the wrong guy.